Well, good morning, friends. Welcome, West Tennessee Dave here. Good to see you this Sunday morning, 6:33 Central Time. I hope you are well. Good morning, Neil High Bird. Good morning there, Acebla. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to all you who are coming to us later on the Twitch and the VODs, and everyone else who's lurking, whether you're on the VOD on Twitch or the VOD on YouTube. Welcome. You are welcome here. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here to experience the Bible stories with us. Okay, today we have a bit of reading to do, so I don't want to delay it too much, but let's just quickly get into the recap. We are reading the book of Job right now, and the first two chapters of Job, I said, are very important to the storyline of what actually transpired. And then the rest of it through today is going to be this back and forth between Job and his friends. And we're going to finish both Job's response to his friends and Job's friends' response to him today. So I know we've kind of gone down this path a little bit, and it might seem redundant. Like, man, this is a long story of back and forth. Um, but this is this is often how arguments happen. People dig into their assumptions, and they're not giving up. Nobody's giving up. Nobody's giving any ground here. So let's see if anything changes today. And we're actually going to get a new face on the scene today as well. So let's let's navigate into this. So here we go. Get some water. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, God is powerful and dreadful. He enforces peace in the heavens. Who is able to count his heavenly army? Doesn't his light shine on all the earth? How can a mortal be innocent before God? Can anyone be born of a woman be pure? God is more glorious than the moon. He shines brighter than the stars. In comparison, people are maggots. We mortals are mere worms. Then Job spoke again. How you have helped the powerless, how you have saved the weak, how you have enlightened my stupidity. What wise advice you have offered. Where have you gotten all these wise sayings, whose spirit speaks through you? The dead tremble, those who live beneath the waters. The underworld is naked in God's presence. The place of destruction is uncovered. God stretches the northern sky over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. He wraps the rain in his thick clouds, and the clouds don't burst with the weight. He covers the face of the moon, excuse me, shrouding it with his clouds. He created the horizon when he separated the waters. He set the boundary between day and night. The foundations of heaven tremble. They shudder at his rebuke. By his power the sea grew calm. By his skill he crushed the great sea monster. His spirit made the heavens beautiful, and his power pierced the gliding serpent. These are just the beginning of all he does, merely a whisper of his power. Who then can comprehend the thunder of his power? Job continued speaking. I vow by the living God, who has taken away my rights, by the Almighty who has embittered my soul, as long as I live, while I have breath from God, my lips will speak no evil, my tongue will speak no lies. I will never concede that you are right. I will defend my integrity until I die. I will maintain my innocence without wavering. My conscience is clear for as long as I live. May my enemy be punished like the wicked, my adversary like those who do evil. For what hope do the godless have when God cuts them off and takes away their life? Will God listen to their cry when trouble comes upon them? Can they take delight in the Almighty? Can they call to God at any time? I will teach you about God's power. I will not conceal anything concerning the Almighty. But you have seen all this. Yet you say all these useless things to me. This is what the wicked will receive from God. This is their inheritance from the Almighty. They may have many children, but the children will die in war or starve to death. Those who survive will die of plague, and not even their widows will mourn them. Evil people may have piles of money and may store away mounds of clothing, but the righteous will wear the clothing, and the innocent will divide that money. The wicked build houses as fragile as a spider's web, as flimsy as a shelter made of branches. The wicked go to bed rich, but wake to find that all their wealth is gone. Terror overwhelms them like a flood, and they are blown away in the storms of the night. The east wind carries them away, and they are gone. It sweeps them away. It whirls down on them without mercy. They struggle to flee from its power, but everyone jeers at them and mocks them. People know where to find my silver and how to refine gold. People know where to mine silver and how to refine gold. They know where to dig iron from the earth and how to smelt copper from rock. They know how to shine light in the darkness and explore the farthest reaches of the earth. As they search in the dark for ore, they sink a mineshaft into the earth, far from where anyone lives. They descend on ropes swinging back and forth. Food is grown on the earth above, but down below, the earth is melted as by fire. Here the rocks contain precious lapis lazuli, and the dust contains gold. These are the treasures no bird of prey can see, no falcon's eye observe. No wild animal has walked upon these treasures. No lion has ever set his paw there. People know how to tear apart flinty rocks and overturn the roots of mountains. They cut tunnels in the rocks and uncover precious stones. They dam up the trickling streams and bring to light the hidden treasures. But do people know where to find wisdom? Where can they find understanding? No one knows where to find it, for it is not found among the living. It is not here, says the ocean, nor is it here, says the sea. It cannot be bought with gold, it cannot be purchased with silver. It's worth more than all the gold of Ophir, greater than the precious onyx or lapis lazuli. Wisdom is more valuable than gold and crystal. It cannot be purchased with jewels mounted in fine gold. Coral and jasper are worthless in trying to get it. The price of wisdom is far above rubies. Precious peridot from Ethiopia cannot be exchanged for it. It's worth more than the purest gold. But do people know where to find wisdom? Where can they find understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all humanity. Even the sharp-eyed birds in the sky cannot discover it. Destruction and death say, "We've heard only rumors of where wisdom can be found." God alone understands the way to wisdom. He knows where it can be found, for he looks throughout the whole earth and sees everything under the heavens. He decided how hard the wind should blow and how much rain should fall. He made the laws for the rain and laid out the path for the lightning. Then he saw wisdom and evaluated it. He set it in place and examined it thoroughly. And this is what he says to all humanity: fear of the Lord is true wisdom. To forsake evil is real understanding. Job continues speaking. I long for the years gone by when God took care of me, when he lit up the way before me and I walked safely through the darkness. When I was in my prime, God's friendship was felt in my home. The Almighty was still with me, and my children were around me. My steps were awash in cream, and the rocks gushed olive oil for me. Those were the days when I went to the city gate and took my place among the honored leaders. The young stepped aside when they saw me, and even the aged rose in respect at my coming. The princes stood in silence and put their hands over their mouths. The highest officials of the city stood quietly, holding their tongues in respect. All who heard me praised me. All who saw me spoke well of me, for I assisted the poor in their need and the orphans who required help. I helped those without hope, and they blessed me. and I caused the widows' hearts to sing for joy. Everything I did was honest. Righteousness covered me like a robe, and I wore justice like a turban. I served as eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. I was a father to the poor and assisted strangers who needed help. I broke the jaws of godless oppressors and plucked their victims from their teeth. I thought, surely I will die surrounded by my family, after a long, good life. For I am like a tree whose roots reach the water, whose branches are refreshed with dew. New honors are constantly bestowed on me, and my strength is continually renewed. Everyone listened to my advice. They were silent as they waited for me to speak, and after I spoke, they had nothing to add, for my counsel satisfied them. They longed for me to speak as people long for rain. They drank my words like a refreshing spring. When they were discouraged, I smiled at them. My look of approval was precious to them. Like a chief, I told them what to do. I lived like a king among his troops and comforted those who mourned. But now I am mocked by people younger than I, by young men whose fathers are not worthy to run my sheepdogs. A lot of good they are to me, those worn out wretches. They are gaunt from poverty and hunger. They claw the dry ground in desolate wastelands. They pluck wild greens from among the bushes and eat from the roots of broom trees. They are driven from human society, and people shout at them as if they were thieves. So now they live in frightening ravines and caves and among the rocks. They sound like animals howling among the bushes, huddled together beneath the nettles. They are nameless fools, outcasts from society. And now they mock me with vulgar songs. They taunt me, they despise me, and they won't come near me, except to spit in my face. For God has cut my bowstring, he has humbled me, so they have thrown off all restraint. These outcasts oppose me to my face. They send me sprawling and lay traps in my path. They block my road and do everything they can to destroy me. They know I have no one to help me. They come at me from all directions. They jump on me when I am down. I live in terror now. My honor has blown away in the wind, and my prosperity has vanished like a cloud. And now my life seeps away. Depression haunts my days. At night my bones are filled with pain, which gnaws at me relentlessly. With a strong hand, God grabs my shirt. He grips me by the collar of my coat. He has thrown me into the mud. I'm nothing more than dust and ashes. I cry to you, O God, but you don't answer. I stand before you, but you don't even look. You have become cruel toward me. You use your power to persecute me. You throw me into the whirlwind and destroy me in the storm. And I know you are sending me to my death, the destination of all who live. Surely no one would turn against the needy when they cry for help in their trouble. Did I not weep for those in trouble? Was I not deeply grieved for the needy? So I looked for good, but evil came instead. I waited for the light, but darkness fell. My heart is troubled and restless. Days of suffering torment me. I walk in gloom without sunlight. I stand in the public square and cry for help. Instead, I'm considered a brother to jackals and a companion to owls. My skin has turned dark, and my bones burn with fever. My heart plays sad music, and my flute accompanies those who weep. I made a covenant with my eyes, not to look with lust at a young woman. For what has God above chosen for us? What is our inheritance from the Almighty on high? Isn't it calamity for the wicked and misfortune for those who do evil? Doesn't he see everything I do and every step I take? Have I lied to anyone or deceived anyone? Let God weigh me on the scales of justice, for he knows my integrity. If I have strayed from his pathway, or if my heart has lusted for what my eyes have seen, or if I am guilty of any other sin, then let someone else eat the crops I have planted. Let all that I have planted be uprooted. If my heart has been seduced by a woman, or if I have lusted for my neighbor's wife, then let my wife serve another man. Let other men sleep with her. For lust is a shameful sin, a crime that should be punished. It is a fire that burns all the way to hell. It would wipe out everything I own. If I have been unfair to my male or female servants when they brought their complaints to me, how could I face God? What could I say when he questioned me? For God created both me and my servants. He created us both in the womb. Have I refused to help the poor or crushed the hopes of widows? Have I been stingy with my food and refused to share it with orphans? No, from childhood I have cared for orphans like a father. In all my life I have cared for widows. Whenever I saw the homeless without clothes and the needy with nothing to wear, did they not praise me for providing wool clothing to keep them warm? If I have raised my hand against an orphan, knowing the judges would take my side, then let my shoulder be wrenched out of place. Let my arm be torn from its socket. That would be better than facing God's judgment. For if the majesty of God opposes me, what hope is there? Have I put my trust in money, or felt secure because of my gold? Have I gloated about my wealth and all that I own? Have I looked at the sun shining in the skies or the moon walking down its silver pathway and been secretly enticed in my heart to throw kisses at them in worship? If so, I should be punished by the judges, for it would mean I had denied the God of heaven. Have I ever rejoiced when disaster struck my enemies or become excited when harm came their way? No, I have never sinned by cursing anyone or by asking for revenge. My servants have never said, "He lets others go hungry." I have never turned away a stranger, but have opened my doors to everyone. Have I tried to hide my sins like other people do, concealing my guilt in my heart? Have I feared the crowd or the contempt of the masses, so that I kept quiet and stayed indoors? If only someone would listen to me. Look, will sign my name to my defense. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser write out the charges against me. I would face the accusation proudly. I would wear it like a crown, for I would tell him exactly what I have done. I would come before him like a prince. If my land accuses me and all its furrows cry out together, or if I have stolen its crops or murdered its owners, then let thistles grow on that land instead of wheat, and weeds instead of barley. Job's words are ended. Job's 3 friends refused to reply further to him because he kept insisting on his innocence. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the clan of Ram, became angry. He was angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that God was right in punishing him. He was also angry with Job's 3 friends, for they made God appear to be wrong by their inability to answer Job's arguments. Elihu had waited for the others to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when he saw that they had no further reply, he spoke out angrily. Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, said, "I am young, and you are old, so I held back from telling you what I think. I thought those who are older should speak, for wisdom comes with age. But there is a spirit within people, the breath of the Almighty within them, that makes them intelligent. Sometimes the elders are not wise. Sometimes the aged do not understand justice. So listen to me and let me tell you what I think. I have waited all this time listening very carefully to your arguments, listening to you grope for words. I have listened, but not one of you has refuted Job or answered his arguments. And don't tell me he is too wise for us. Only God can convince him. If Job had been arguing with me, I would not answer with your kind of logic. You sit there baffled with nothing more to say. Should I continue to wait now that you are silent? Must I also remain silent? No, I will say my piece. I will speak my mind. For I am full of pent-up words, and the spirit within me urges me on. I am like a cask of wine without a vent, like a new wineskin ready to burst. I must speak to find relief, so let me give my answers. I won't play favorites or try to flatter anyone. For if I tried flattery, my Creator would soon destroy me. Listen to my words, Job. Pay attention to what I have to say. Now that I have begun to speak, let me continue. I speak with all sincerity. I speak the truth. For the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me if you can. Make your case and take your stand. Look, you and I both belong to God. I, too, was formed from clay, so you don't need to be afraid of me. I won't come down hard on you. You have spoken in my hearing, and I have heard your very words. You said, I am pure, I am without sin, I am innocent, I have no guilt. God is picking a quarrel with me, and he considers me his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks and watches my every move. But you are wrong, and I will show you why. For God is greater than any human being. So why are you bringing a charge against him? Why say he does not respond to people's complaints? For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams, in visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on people, as they lie in their bed. He whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warnings. He makes them turn from doing wrong. He keeps them from pride. He protects them from the grave, from crossing over the river of death. Or God disciplines people with pain on their sick beds, with ceaseless aching in their bones. They lose their appetite for even the most delicious food. Their flesh wastes away and their bones stick out. They are at death's door. The angels of death await for them. But if an angel from heaven appears, a special messenger to intercede for a person, and declares that he is upright, he will be gracious and say, Rescue him from the grave, for I have found a ransom for his life. Then his body will become as healthy as a child's, firm and youthful again. When he prays to God, he will be accepted, and God will receive him with joy and restore him to good standing. He will declare to his friends, I have sinned and twisted the truth, but it was not worth it. God rescued me from the grave, and now my life is filled with light. Yes, God does these things again and again for people. He rescues them from the grave, so they may enjoy the light of life. Mark this well, Job. Listen to me, for I have more to say. But if you have anything to say, go ahead, speak, for I'm anxious to see you justified. But if not, then listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Then Elihu said, Listen to me, you wise men. Pay attention, you who have knowledge. Job said, The ear tests the words it hears, just as the mouth distinguishes between foods. So let us discern for ourselves what is right. Let us learn together what is good. For Job also said, I am innocent, but God has taken away my rights. I am innocent, but they call me a liar. My suffering is incurable, though I have not sinned. Tell me, has there ever been a man like Job, with his thirst for irreverent talk? He chooses evil people as companions. He spends his time with wicked men. He has even said, Why waste time trying to please God? Listen to me, you who have understanding. Everyone knows that God doesn't sin. The Almighty can do no wrong. He repays people according to their deeds. He treats people as they deserve. Truly, God will not do wrong. The Almighty will not twist justice. Did someone else put the world in his care? Who set the whole world in place? If God were to take back his spirit and withdraw his breath, all life would cease and humanity would turn again to dust. Now listen to me if you are wise. Pay attention to what I say. Could God govern if he hated justice? Are you going to contemn the Almighty Judge? For he says to kings, You are wicked, and to the nobles, You are unjust. He doesn't care how great a person may be, and he pays no more attention to the rich than to the poor. He made them all. In a moment they die. In the middle of the night they pass away. The mighty are removed without human hand. For God watches how people live. He sees everything they do. No darkness is thick enough to hide the wicked from his eyes. We don't set the time when he will come before God in judgment. He brings the mighty to ruin without asking anyone, and he sets up others in their place. He knows what they do, and in the night he overturns and destroys them. He strikes them down because they are wicked, doing it openly for all to see. For they turned away from following him. They have no respect for any of his ways. They cause the poor to cry out, catching God's attention. He hears the cry of the needy. But if he chooses to remain quiet, who can criticize him? When he hides his face, no one can find him, whether an individual or a nation. He prevents the godless from ruling so they cannot be a snare to the people. Why don't people say to God, I have sinned, but I will sin no more? Or, I don't know what evil I have done. Tell me, if I have done wrong, I will stop at once. Must God tailor his justice to your demands? But you have rejected him. The choice is yours, not mine. Go ahead, share your wisdom with us. After all, bright people will tell me, and wise people will hear me say, Job speaks out of ignorance. His words lack insight. Job, you deserve the maximum penalty for the wicked way you have talked, for you have added rebellion to your sin. You have showed no respect, and you speak many angry words against God. Then Elihu said, Do you think it is right for you to claim, I am righteous before God? For you also ask, What's in it for me? What's the use of living a righteous life? I will answer you and all your friends too. Look up into the sky and see the clouds high above you. If you sin, how does that affect God? Even if you sin again and again, what effect will it have on him? If you are good, is this some great gift to him? What could you possibly give him? No, your sins affect only people like yourself, and your good deeds also affect only humans. People cry out when they are oppressed. They groan beneath the power of the mighty. Yet they don't ask, Where is God my Creator, the one who gives songs in the night? Where is the one who makes us smarter than the animals and wiser than the birds of the sky? And when they cry out, God does not answer because of their pride. But it is wrong to say God doesn't listen, to say the Almighty isn't concerned. You say you can't see him, but he will bring justice if you will only wait. You say he does not respond to sinners with anger and is not greatly concerned about wickedness. But you are talking nonsense, Job. You have spoken like a fool. Let me go on, and I will show you the truth, for I have not finished defending God. I will present profound arguments for the righteousness of my Creator. I'm telling you nothing but the truth, for I am a man of great knowledge. God is mighty, but he does not despise anyone. He is mighty in both power and understanding. He does not let the wicked live, but gives justice to the afflicted. He never takes his eyes off the innocent, but he sets them on thrones with kings and exalts them forever. If they are bound in chains and caught up in a web of trouble, he shows them the reason. He shows them their sins of pride. He gets their attention and commands that they turn from evil. If they listen and obey God, they will be blessed with prosperity throughout their lives. All their years will be pleasant. But if they refuse to listen to him, they will cross over the river of death, dying from lack of understanding. For the godless are full of resentment, even when he punishes them. They refuse to cry out to him for help. They die when they are young, after wasting their lives in immoral living. But by means of their suffering, he rescues those who suffer, for he gets their attention through adversity. God is leading you away from danger, Job, to a place free from distress. He is setting your table with the best food, but you are obsessed with whether the godless will be judged. Don't worry. Judgment and justice will be upheld. But watch out, or you may be seduced by wealth. Don't let yourself be bribed into sin. Could all your wealth or all of your mighty efforts keep you from distress? Do not long for the cover of night, for that is when people will be destroyed. Be on guard. Turn back from evil, for God sent this suffering to keep you from a life of evil. Look, God is all powerful. Who is a teacher like him? No one can tell him what to do or say to him, You have done wrong. Instead, glorify his mighty works, singing songs of praise. Everyone has seen these things, though only from a distance. Look, God is greater than we can understand. His years cannot be counted. He draws up the water vapor and then distills it into rain. The rain pours down from the clouds, and everyone benefits. Who can understand the spreading of the clouds and the thunder that rolls forth from heaven? See how he spreads the lightning around him, and how it lights up the depths of the sea. By these mighty acts he nourishes the people, giving them food in abundance. He fills his hands with lightning bolts and hurls each at its target. The thunder announces his presence. The storm announces his indignant anger. My heart pounds as I think of this. It trembles within me. Listen carefully to the thunder of God's voice as it rolls from his mouth. It rolls across the heavens, and his lightning flashes in every direction. Then comes the roaring of the thunder, the tremendous voice of his majesty. He does not restrain it when he speaks. God's voice is glorious in the thunder. We can't even imagine the greatness of his power. He directs the snow to fall on the earth and tells the rain to pour down. Then everyone stops working so they can watch his power. The wild animals take cover and stay inside their dens. The stormy wind comes from its chamber, and the driving winds bring the cold. God's breath sends the ice freezing wide expanses of water. He loads the clouds with moisture, and they flash with his lightning. The clouds churn at his direction. They do whatever he commands throughout the earth. He makes these things happen either to punish people or to show his unfailing love. Pay attention to this, Job. Stop and consider the wonderful miracles of God. Do you know how God controls the storm and causes the lightning to flash from his clouds? Do you understand how he moves the clouds with his wonderful perfection and skill? When you are sweltering in your clothes and the south wind dies down and everything is still, he makes the skies reflect the heat like a bronze mirror. Can you do that? So teach the rest of us what to say to God. We are too ignorant to make our own arguments. Should God be notified that I want to speak? Can people even speak when they are confused? We cannot look at the sun, for it shines brightly in the sky, when the wind clears away the clouds. So also golden splendor comes from the mountain of God. He is clothed in dazzling splendor. We cannot imagine the power of the Almighty, but even though he is just and righteous, he does not destroy us. No wonder people everywhere fear him. All who are wise show him reverence. Okay. And that is where we finish today. Let's get some water. Okay, so Job has stopped talking. And this last friend, we hadn't seen him until today. He jumps on the bandwagon of speaking kind of harshly to the older men, Job as the older men, and the older men that were Job's friends. Job's older friends have stopped talking as well. Like, at some point, you just have to realize that your arguments to try to prove a point aren't getting anywhere. And at some point, you just have to say, okay, the person that I'm talking to is not listening about this, and there's really no more reason to talk. And the older men, Job and the friends, basically have come to that conclusion. But the young man who's been sitting there for a while, waiting his turn, says, it's my turn. You guys finally shut up. Because you didn't really prove anything to either of you. Nobody agreed to anything. And, man, when I say that out loud, it convicts my own heart. Like, I think most people desire to have agreement with others. We gather together in groups of people, oftentimes in hope of agreement. Because as we've read this story, we see what disagreement kind of brings about, which is people digging in on their perceptions of what they know and the understanding they have in the world and saying, my understanding is better than yours. And because I have better understanding, you should come around to my thinking. Furthermore, his friends are like, look, Job, like you might have comforted us in the past if we did something wrong, but look, we're coming to your rescue now in the same way. Come around to our understanding. Like we're telling you wise advice. We're telling you wisdom. And again, like we've been saying over and over again, everyone's understanding of wisdom here is that bad things don't happen to good people. So, if anyone's ever studied logic, if you ever had to do geometry in school, which most people do back in the day, geometry was all about proofs, right? That you have a sentence that makes sense, you have these proofs that make sense, you put all these logical statements in order, and then you can come to the final conclusion that this is a triangle. Even though you look at the thing and it has three sides, and you're like, of course it's a triangle. Well, okay, so the statement that a triangle has three sides, okay? I mean, that's one part of the statement of a triangle, right? So you can see it with your eyes, okay? But like a square has three sides, well, it has four, but it also has three, right? So you have to, like, so logic has to continue, okay? And basically, everyone's trying to make their point in this logical conclusion, right? It's like, it's basically a legal argument that they're making that if trouble is upon you, you have done wrong. That is the framework that they all understand. This is the logical statement and the conclusion that comes from it. And they're not giving up on that. But Job is just stating the first part, which is, he's not stating the first part, right? Because it's saying, if you've done wrong, then trouble comes upon you, right? So they're taking the argument backwards, though. They're saying, if trouble comes upon you, then you've done wrong. Well, that's not actually how the logical argument is set up, right? You can't just reverse it. That's not how actual logic happens. The first part is, if you do wrong, trouble will come upon you. That's their thinking. Now they're taking it and reversing it and saying, if trouble's upon you, then you've done wrong. Okay? That's not how logic actually works, in theory. But it's how, like, our mind generally thinks about things. Job is just saying the last part. I have not done wrong. The trouble is upon him, and he has not done wrong. So, if bad things happen to you, right, you've done wrong, is their thinking. The question, the thing is, if you do wrong, bad things will happen to you. Basically, God treats you the way you treat others. And Job is defending his innocence, but he stopped talking about it because they won't listen, and they stop talking. The older men, right? The younger guy, he gets on his tirade finally, but does he really say anything different? I mean, he just seems to be beating the same drum. And here is one of the big, like, cruxes, right? We hear this in there. We've heard this in there from them. It's like, does it affect God if we sin? It's a big question mark. Does it affect God if we sin? Is God affected by our choices? I mean, it's a big question. And I mean, I don't know the answer to that question very well. God does not like sin. God doesn't want anything to do with sin. right? He has made ways to deal with sin, right? Sometimes that's punishment. A lot of times, what he's done to deal with sin is what we'll get to in the future of the story. He's dealt with sin in a much more profound way going forward. In the Old Testament, of what we have seen so far, okay, he has covered Adam and Eve from their sin, right? And then he has set up this system of sacrifices that need to happen, where there is animal sacrifice to account for sin. This all happened with Moses going forward. This is what they call the law, right? And we're kind of at this phase. This is like a little bit of outside contextualism with this storyline here. The story of Job. We're not totally sure when it happens, but most scholars believe that this happened around the time of Abraham. So the law actually doesn't exist from God through Moses as we understand it. So they weren't doing animal sacrifices to God yet, per se, according to a law. Now, God was the one that kind of instituted the animal sacrifice because he covered Adam and Eve with the skins of animals. So he sacrificed an animal to cover them from their shame and nakedness. But that said, does it affect God if we sin? And it's a big question, and it's not necessarily answered here, right? Except it says it doesn't really matter like what we do. Does that really affect God? Uh I mean, I think it does. If if somebody cares for us, if somebody cares for you, let's say, if you have a parent, which we all have parents to some extent, they might not be alive anymore, but we all had parents at some point. We had father and mother that brought us into this world somehow or another. If you have children, you understand this even more. Like, when they do wrong, it kind of irks you, right? Because you're trying to teach them not to do wrong. I mean, you should if you're a good parent. You don't want your kids to grow up doing wrong all the time. You don't want them to be just an evil person thinking about doing wrong. You generally have some rules and requirements for your children for their own safety, for the safety of your home, for the benefit of your home. And when they don't do what's right, it bothers you. And so both of them have said God creates us in the womb here. Like, if God created us and cares for us, then he probably cares when we do wrong also. He doesn't want us to continue to keep doing wrong. And as their logic says, if you do wrong, God's going to punish you, basically. You're going to find punishment, okay? Well, if God didn't care, then why would he punish? So he does care. It does probably affect him, right? He doesn't want that to be around him. He wants us to grow up. He wants us to become mature children who understand right and wrong and can help others. Like, that's what he desires. And so it does affect him. Like, this logic that they keep going back and forth over, it has amounted to nothing but truth sayings over and over and over again that have not helped. And as when we started this journey talking about this back and forth, sometimes the best and the most wise person is the one that never says a word. It is better to be silent. my this is just a little background to me. I grew up Catholic, and um my godfather, he he I called him once and he said, it's not necessarily a Bible quote, but it's like a saying, right? He's like, better to be silent than open your mouth and prove to everyone how foolish you really are. And there's a Bible verse that's similar to that, but the way he said it was just, and he's got like a Boston accent. It just sounded so cool how he said it. Like, just be quiet. You look wiser by being quiet a lot of times. And so often we are uncomfortable in our day and age with silence. I mean, just look at your own life. Look at your own life. Look at how much activity we bother ourselves with day in and day out that we can't be still in silence. And the world has kind of trained us that way. We find almost no wisdom in it. Like, we scour the internet. We have AI now. We have so much wisdom and knowledge databases at our disposal today. And it's like we can just tell AI how to help and fix us in a matter of seconds now. And it's like sometimes just sit in silence. Sit in whatever you're sitting in and just be quiet with it. You might find a lot of wisdom in just being quiet. Maybe more so than all the different vantage points that you can come from, because just like the friends here, they're spouting off data like an AI program. It has been programmed that these things are what, like, if this happens, then it's this. Well, but what happens on the exception use cases? What happens? And that's what this Job story is kind of about in the middle here. And I said it last time, it's also because we have kind of forgotten the full story at the beginning, and nobody actually can see the full story. Nobody knew what God and Satan were up there doing. They weren't really privy to this information. And so if you're not privy to what is happening, you only look at the lens of what's happening in your life through what you can see and what you know and what you experience. So when something new happens, sometimes we just sit in silence and have to kind of wait until the answer is revealed to us, or something new is brought to our attention, because the old ways of doing this don't make sense. There's no logical if then statement that gets Job to the place where he's satisfied. And the friends are like, well, we know all the if and then statements, and thus, we've kind of confiscated this other one because that's what we understand, right? We've kind of taken this as understanding. Well, maybe we just lack understanding. Wisdom it's beyond us to know everything. And this was the sin from the beginning of time. The knowledge of good and evil. It was never supposed to be about us knowing everything. They took the bite of this thing to gain the knowledge of good and evil when they didn't necessarily have it, but it wasn't excluded from them, knowledge. It was just that God was the holder of the knowledge of good and evil. And so to get the knowledge base without God leads to something like this: endless arguing back and forth, endless people thinking they have it all together. And what do you get? Like, who feels like this is great for a friendship that you just argue back and forth and your friends keep claiming you've done wrong? Just get on the bandwagon, right? Get back to agreement. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to navigate that going forward? Like, this is going to bring a pretty good riff in the friendship. So, hello there, Luke Flaw. Hello there, Erkster. Anyways, that said, the conclusion today, the friends and Job, they're done with their argument and their defense. The if you want to think of this as a trial, they're done talking. They're done with all of it. When we come back on Tuesday, God speaks. So prepare yourself. God speaks. And let's find out how he wants to respond to this situation. And maybe it gives some clarity to us, maybe it doesn't. But God is going to respond to all this banter back and forth. And to Job and his questions a little bit. So, cliffhanger. Come back. Come back on Tuesday morning and hear the finish of this story with God speaking for himself. Okay? Thanks for being here this morning. I love you guys. Thanks for just hanging out with me, listening to the story, letting God's word hopefully transform us and become applicable to our lives, because it's just rich with really human experiences. And this story is hard. This story is very hard, the Job story. It's one of the hardest in the Bible. But it's trying to teach us some things. Like, put yourself in the friend's shoes, put yourself in Job's shoes. You've probably been on both sides of the coin before. Pop Plucker is everywhere today. Pop Plucker is everywhere every day. You know, he's pretty good with the AI stuff. Maybe it's AI Pop Plucker. You never know. Like the new Ghost of M. The Ghost of M is everywhere as well. Maybe he's made an AI bot of himself so he can just say hi and all these things. You know, he's a singularity that's been let out into the Twitch sphere, as they say. Anyways, thank you guys. Have a great Sunday. I should be back later tonight for a poker session, if the weather allows. I know we're supposed to get some bad weather, so but hopefully that'll just pass quickly. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. I'll be back tonight and then tomorrow night for study stream, and Tuesday morning for the completion of the story of Job. And after that, I'm going to be out of town the following weekend, so there might be a whole week off from the Bible stories. I'm probably going to try to bring my laptop and do some where I'm going. I'm going to try to do the Bible stories. The rest of my streams will definitely be off, but I'm going to try to do the Bible stories 2 of the days. One of the days I'm driving. No, I'm not going to Cherokee. I'm going way up north. Up north to the land of Wisconsin, getting some cheese. No, we're going up there to see my family. So we're gonna have some time off, which will be great. But hopefully, I will bring my laptop and we can do the Bible story streams. So 2 of the days. One of the days we're driving, so it won't happen. But I will let you guys know that on Tuesday. But just as a little bit of a preview for all those who are here now, make sure you're here Tuesday to finish the story, and because it's a good one. it's a good finish. We need to finish strong because it's been rough for the last few days. All right, that said, love you guys. You're going to Cherokee. The real pot plucker is. I don't think you can send the Singularity to Cherokee. So the real pot plucker is going to Cherokee, and then when he's in the Twitch spheres, you know it's the AI pot plucker bot. So, all right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I love you all. Have a great Sunday, and I will see you guys later tonight or on Tuesday morning. Bye.